Hi. I know I'm kind of like out of the shot, but we're going to spend, as usual, most of our time on the ground in our restorative practice. So that's where I want the focus of the camera to be. I wanted to show you an example of if you don't have yoga blocks at home, because today you're going to want something that's kind of like a yoga block. A lot of times I say get creative and use a hardback book of similar shape and size. So it depends on how thick you want your block to be. Typically, a yoga block is the thickness, I'd say, of two really thick hardback books. So maybe head to your daughter's textbooks if you have one, or if you have your own textbooks, or if you're just a lover of books and you have really thick books, grab a couple of those. They don't have to be hardbacks, but I find that kind of feedback kind of nice. And if you're going to use books, especially if they're hard, what I'd recommend doing is wrapping it up in a blanket or a towel so that you get a little bit of softness. And I'm just going to turn this over so it doesn't slide around on me and place that at the top of my mat, just like I would a yoga block. So see how it's very similar in size. They're pretty flush with one another. The reason we're gonna use this first today is to have a little bit of myofascial release for the very top of the cervical spine and the occipital lobes, right and left at the very base of the skull. There's all these nerve endings here. So if you get tension headaches, like if you clench your jaw while you're sleeping, this is a great trigger point to release using something like this, or even if you have at home those foam rollers, those work really well for this kind of work. So that's the first prop we're going to work with. Second prop I'd like you to have is a stack of thick couch cushions or kind of a chair that's not going to slide around on you. So we're going to do a little bit of heart opening. So we'll spend first part of our practice working with the neck and the shoulders and the chest, and then we'll do a little bit of hip work. And as we've been practicing, we will come up to an upright seat and have a meditation to close out our practice. Meditation will include that breath work of 4-count inhale, 3-count retention, and a 7-count exhale. Just very briefly, and we'll get started soon. The reason for the extended exhale, that's 7 counts, is because it is so I can't talk. So soothing for the nervous system to extend the exhale. Oftentimes in a yoga practice, we think about how fully can I inhale, how much of an inhale can I take, and the exhale tends to be kind of forgotten. But it's really important when you're working with the nervous system, especially in a restorative practice, to extend the exhale. Not with force, so don't like get too into your head about it, but just focusing a little bit more on the exhalation. That's why we elongate it for 7 counts. We make it longer than the inhale. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to lay, again, occipital ridge, base of the skull, down onto whatever we're using for a prop. And it might take a few moments here to kind of find that bony ridge at the base of the skull. So as I lay back here, I like to kind of move my head side to side until I feel that point or points. There's not just one, usually. Where it feels rather sensitive or the tissue I can tell is pretty tight. And then I make sure that it feels relatively even side to side and the surface that my head is resting on is flat. So it's not going to flip out from underneath me. And so once you feel that centeredness, you can go ahead and pause in the middle. Just breathe here. Feel free to make any adjustments. Don't feel like you have to hold yourself in a place of discomfort. Anything you want to do with your legs, you can stretch them out long. You could bend the knees and plant the feet. And you could even slide something underneath the backs of the knees if you kind of want to be in the middle of that, somewhere in between. Let's take some deep, slow breaths here to start out. If you like, you could practice your 4-count inhale, 3-count pause at the top, just a gentle hold. And maybe then you practice your 7-count exhale. Now we're going to add on just a little bit of very small and super slow movement. What you're going to do is think about starting to very, very, very slowly, like a glacial pace, so slow you couldn't even see it with the naked eye, move your head off to the right side. You're probably going to want to go fast, but see if you can slow it down, because each little nerve ending, each little trigger point, the slower you go, the more this will speak to you. And eventually you'll find an end range of motion with your head resting off to the right side. Feeling the weight of that right occipital lobe resting really heavy, melting into your prop. And we'll stay here for about a minute. I'm going to set us a timer. Your work is to breathe. Breathe into the sensation. Practice releasing and breathing. In just the same way that you came into this, that slow glacial pace, and you start to come back through center. So really take your time, several breath cycles, to start to come back to center. And just noticing any sensations as you do this, any trigger points. What I often notice is sometimes there's a little crackle in my ears. So you might notice any sounds, any things that feel like they're releasing or finding movement, finding new space. Pause and center once you're there. If you're still moving and going slow, continue to honor that. Once you're in center, again, you're pausing. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And we'll begin our descent to the left side as slow as you can. And after several breaths, you'll find that end range of motion. You're just going to let the head rest heavy towards your left. Do your best here to relax your jaw, your neck, especially if that's where you tend to hold tension. This can be really quite stimulating. Is there a way, instead of fighting the tension, can you breathe into it? And then almost, I like to visualize on the exhale, there's like this melting of tension. There's this release. Take one more breath here. And then we'll very slowly, again, just as slow, if not slower, start to make your way through center. So honor your own pace, and when you do find center, pause there. And if you need to, any last little bit of movement here with a prop underneath the back of the head. Gentle movement side to side, if that calls to you. When you're ready, you can remove that prop from underneath the head. Let the head come back to the mat. And if you want here, so what I've done is I've removed the blocks, and now I'm going to use, or blocks, I was using my books, and I'm going to use the blanket or the towel underneath the back of my head just to give myself a little bit of extra padding without the height. So from here, let's stretch our arms up towards the ceiling. Let your palms face one another. We're just going to give ourselves a nice big bear hug. So fingertips reach around your opposite shoulder blades. If you can, keep the elbows pointing up towards the ceiling and notice which elbow or bicep is closest to your mouth. In this case, my right elbow or bicep is closest to my mouth because we're going to do both sides. And then whichever bicep is closest to you, your mouth, it might even kind of shift over your mouth and your nose. Like my right bicep is just kind of hovering above my mouth and my nose. And I'm letting the weight of my shoulder blades and my arms rest heavy. And this is another myofascial release for the upper back. Then again, taking note of which arm is in front, you'll start to release that, stretch the fingertips back up towards the ceiling. And let your opposite elbow cross in front towards your mouth, towards your nose, bending the elbows, grabbing your opposite shoulders. Give yourself that big hug. Let the arm bones settle, shoulder blades settle into the mat. Bicep of the left arm, if you're on the same side of me, moves over the mouth and the nose as the elbows point up towards the ceiling. Start to release and unwind. You can reach your fingertips up towards the ceiling and then maybe overhead. Just you can stretch out through the length of the body if that calls. And then rolling off to a side, just take a moment pausing in fetal position. We're going to transition to working with the lower body, the spine, and the hips. All right, so we'll press our way up. This is where our couch cushions or maybe a stool is going to come in handy, something that you can lay your forearms or your chest on. If you still have your blocks, whatever you made your block out of, maybe it's the books, that can go back to the top of the mat and make yourself a little ramp, and then your cushion can go on top of this. If you don't have that kind of setup, then place your chair or your stool right there, because whatever it is, we're just creating a shelf for the body to lean into. And then we're just going to take the left hip, thigh, towards our prop setup. And so we're making little deer legs, stag legs, right knee behind left foot. So most of my weight's on my left hip, my outer left thigh is on the mat, and then my right knee is behind the sole of my left foot. It's kind of like if I look at my legs, I have two 90-degree angles there. And then here comes the rotation. So I'm turning to face my stool, my prop, whatever it is. If it's a stool, you might just lean both of your forearms on it. I'm holding my mic today because it's kind of a weird angle with my shirt. So I'll show you and then talk. So I'm framing out, if I'm using a cushion, I'm framing out the cushion and then I'm going to lay my belly onto it. And if I were using a chair, I just fold my hands on top of it and just get as close as I can with my belly and my chest to that cushion. So you don't have to come super far down to the floor. Build the props up to meet you where you are, and then eventually settle. If your body's folding into this in a way that you're resting your head on your prop, I recommend starting off with your left cheek on your prop so that you're gazing in the same direction that your knees are pointing. If the spine wants to twist a little bit more, especially since we did that work with the cervical spine and opening of the scapula, you might find a little bit more rotation comes more easily. This is just a maybe, it's not a mandate. You could turn so that your right cheek is on your prop, so you're gazing away from the knees. And if that's too much on the neck, you don't do it. You just simply come back to letting that left cheek rest. Please don't let it add more tension. The whole point of this practice is to release tension, to allow a passive stretch, to feel a melting sensation as you hold for time, to allow the breath to guide you deeper without the force of the body. If you did turn your head in the opposite direction, bring it back to your starting place, left cheek resting. And let's all take one more deep breath in here. If you're down on your forearms, start to press up into your hands, lift your chest off of your cushion. We'll roll to both sits bones and just rotate to your right hip. You don't really need to move your props. You can move your body so that now you're on your right hip, outer right hip. Left knee starts to swing behind the right foot, and then you turn towards your prop. If you're using that cushion, you place your hands to frame out that prop and slowly lower the chest, the belly, and the right cheek down. Otherwise, you're folding your hands on top of your stool if that's what you're using. And start to settle in. Remember, you're starting off slow, shallow. Even if you know you can twist your head in the opposite direction, let's take a few breaths to settle in here with the right cheek resting. Now, if it feels appropriate to turn the gaze so that left cheek is down, you're twisting a little bit more in the cervical spine. If that feels relaxing to you, if you can breathe nice and deep and slow, then maybe it's appropriate. But if it adds tension, just come back, unwind. If you did turn your head to the opposite direction, start to bring your right cheek back to your prop. So I'll take one more breath here together. You're down on your forearms and your elbows. Start to press into your hands to lift your chest up. We'll start to unwind the spine. And then we'll take a few moments to set ourselves up for our Shavasana. You can lay down on your back. You can use any props. You could swing your legs over the top of that cushion that you were using, or the chair or the stool, whatever it was you were using. And we'll settle down here to our back. When the time is right, I'll call you to an upright seat if you're going to join that with me for our breath work. Relax the shoulders, slight tuck of the chin to the chest. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Feel your whole back body become heavy. Feel your whole front body melt into your back body. Feel your whole body melt into the floor. Shavasana. If you're comfortable on your back doing your breath work, feel free to stay there. If you'd like to come to an upright seat, now would be the time. Take it slow. When you come up to your seat, make sure that it's with ease. So support your sits bones. Maybe you're sitting on your cushions or your stool or whatever you have, so that sitting tall is easeful. If you like Jnana Mudra, that's index finger and thumbs touching, palms facing down. Roll the shoulders up and let them slide down the back, soften at the elbows. Slightly tuck the chin in and then press the back of the head to the space behind you so that the spine grows nice and tall. Neutral breath in. And let all the air go. We'll have 4 rounds of 4-3-7 ratio breathing. Begin to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go of any counting. Find that neutral breath. Acknowledge what you're feeling. Acknowledge where you're feeling it. Noticing what is present for you. And with that acknowledgement in mind, joining the hands together at the heart, bowing the chin into the chest, taking a moment to honor your effort and your practice with reverence and gratitude. May you use the fruits of this practice to serve your highest good. Share it with those around you that you love and who could use healing. May you remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world that may be suffering. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. I hope you had a nice practice. I hope that felt good in your body, in your soul. I hope you really do take this off your mat and share it with your family, your friends, your coworkers. Have a great day.